paragraphs. Towards the end of times, after all of the minor signs have basically finished, there will come a series of massive wars that will engulf the world. There will be a lot of wars, in particular in the regions of the modern Iraq and the modern Asham. There will be a lot of wars. And this will culminate in a three-way civil war between the ummah. Three parties will be fighting between the ummah. And this civil war between the ummah will eventually reach the Hijaz province and eventually reach Mecca itself. So the wars between Muslims will envelope that region and the Holy Lands itself will become involved. During this time frame, a person will rise up that people are looking to for leadership. He lives in Medina at this point in time. And for whatever circumstance, he will run for his life to Mecca. And he will not have any protection. And for whatever reason, one of the powerful of these triple armies will try to kill this person by sending an army to the Kaaba itself. And when they send the army to the Kaaba itself, that is when the miracle of miracles will happen and the army will be destroyed without any human interference. At this point in time, it appears the Muslim ummah will recognize this person to be the Mahdi. Now the signs have been met. So it appears, even though nothing is explicit, that the ummah will no longer fight amongst itself. That the Mahdi will then unify the ummah. And in my reading and interpretation, and it's all ijtihad in the end of the day, that unification will not happen until the Mahdi. In fact, the Mahdi's main purpose is to unify the ummah. Because how can you now not believe in the Mahdi when the sign has happened and the Kaaba has been protected, in front of you? So the Mahdi will now take charge. And rather than civil war between the ummah, there will be wars between civilizations, Muslims and other civilization. And the ahadith mention at least two massive wars. The one of them with the Muslims and the Romans on one side and a third party on the other. So the Muslims and the Bani al-Asfar or the Rum will be on one side and there will be a common enemy on the other side. And this will be a massive war and the Muslims and the Romans will be victorious. Then soon after this one, there will be inner fighting between the Rum and the Muslims and there will then be yet another massive war between these two groups. Around this time or shortly after, now the people, the Muslims know Dajjal is about to come, the signs are there. So anytime something happens, there will be rumors, Dajjal is out, Dajjal is out. And most of these rumors obviously will be false because he's only going to come once. And during one particular time frame, according to one narration, after the conquest of Constantinople, now this is slightly problematic as we're going to come to, the rumor will come that Dajjal has come. So they will come back to their base, and their base is where? Where will their base be? Damascus, Bilad al-Sham, overall, and Damashq, Bilad al-Sham. That will be their base, Bilad al-Sham. They will rush back to Damashq and they will find out the rumors are false, and within a day or two or a short period of time, actually Dajjal will come. So when they find the rumors to be false, now Dajjal has actually come down. And once the Dajjal will come, he will spend, as the Prophet said, 40 days, if you want to interpret it literally. Because here's again, this is one of those ahadith, even the Sahaba were cryptic, mystified. What do you mean? Is that day a day, an actual year or whatnot? If you want to interpret it ala zahiri, upon its actual time, then in reality the Dajjal will be here for around 2.5 years. Around, sorry, not 2.5. A year and 2.5 months, a year and 2.5 months. If you want to say the first day is 1 year, the second day is 1 month, the third day is 1 week, and then the rest of the 37 days is 37 days. If you interpret it like that, then the Dajjal will be on this earth for around a year and 2.5 months. Not a too long period, but it will be the worst wars known to man. And nobody will be able to kill Dajjal, even though they might kill some of Dajjal's forces, as we said. But Dajjal himself will not be able to be killed. And after a year and 2.5 months, when the Mahdi is leading Salat al-Fajr in Damascus, in the Umayyad mosque, Isa will come down towards the end of times, and Isa will then lead Salat al-Fajr. Isa will come down at Salat al-Fajr time. He will tell the Mahdi to lead Salat al-Fajr, and then that army will, within a day or two, as soon as Isa comes, the Prophet said he will make for him like a spear makes for its target. He will rush towards the Dajjal. As soon as Isa comes down, after Salat al-Fajr, they will rush towards the Dajjal, and Damascus to Jerusalem in that time frame might even be done in an hour, or definitely within a day or two. So as soon as Isa comes, that tribulation will be gone with, because the Dajjal will be killed, and all of those who are still fighting at this point in time, if you are still fighting on the side of the Dajjal, there is no hope for you. You will not be saved, because the signs are too clear, as we said. You have chosen darkness over light. You have chosen evil over truth, so there will be no hope for you. And there is a very interesting narration that some have made authentic, and I mentioned it briefly. I want to pause here and mention it again. This is a hadith in Abu Dawood and Muslim Imam Ahmad. And the scholars have differed, is it authentic or not? Shaykh Al-Albani makes it authentic, and others make it slightly weak. The hadith goes as follows, narrated from Mu'adh ibn Jabal. عمران بيت المقدس خراب يثرب وخراب يثرب خروج الملحمة وخروج الملحمة فتح القسطنطينية وفتح القسطنطينية خروج الدجال. So a number of things are mentioned one after the other. Number one, the building up of the Bayt al-Maqdis is the destruction of Medina. He called it Yathrib. And number one. Number two, the destruction of Yathrib is the beginning of the civil wars, the Malhama, the Armageddon. Number three, the Armageddon is the beginning of the conquest of Constantinople. And number four, the conquest of Constantinople is the coming of Dajjal. Okay? Now, this hadith, if it is authentic, it raises the issue which is slightly problematic, and that is Umranu Bayt al-Maqdis kharabu Yathrib. The building up of Bayt al-Maqdis is the destruction or the demolition of Yathrib. And this is problematic insofar as the traditions mention, as we're going to come to, if not today, then next Wednesday inshallah, that Yathrib or Medina will be destroyed after Ya'juj and Ma'juj. So how then can, before Dajjal, Medina be destroyed? Do you understand the problem? Baytul Maqdis being constructed is the destruction of Yathrib. One way to interpret this is, firstly, what is the construction of Baytul Maqdis? Imranu Baytul Maqdis. This clearly means that Baytul Maqdis, Jerusalem, Aqsa, is becoming either one of two interpretations, either a civilization, pay heed in light of what is happening, or a Muslim civilization. Because Imran means to build. عَمَّرَ يُعَمِّرُ إِنَّمَا يَعْمُرُ مَسَاجِدَ اللَّهِ عِمْرَانُ بَيْتِ الْمَقْدِسِ. The construction or the building or the civilization of Bayt al-Maqdis. It doesn't say by Muslims or non-Muslims. So either it is a generic building up of Bayt al-Maqdis, that land becomes a land of civilization, a land of strength, a land of power. And it is clearly in our times a land of whatever, however angry what is going on, we cannot deny. All you need to do is look at the top 100 Fortune 500 companies, whatever, how many are based over there, their economy, their scientists, whatnot, and also the number of people living there, and Allah knows best. Or we can say, Imranu Bayt al-Maqdis by the Muslims. And that's going to take place after the killing of the Dajjal. Either way, time frame is similar. That is going to signal the destruction or the kharab of Yathrib. Now, the only way then, if this hadith is authentic, is that we say the building up of Jerusalem will signal the beginning of the end of Medina, but not the actual end of Medina. Because the actual end of Medina will come towards the very end of times. So some things are happening that Medina will become empty and empty and empty. And this will begin with the construction or the Imran of Bayt al-Maqdis. Now, the destruction or the kharab of Medina is the Malhama, the Armageddon. That much is clear because the Mehdi is coming from Medina. His followers will come from Medina. The Prophet ﷺ said, when the Malhama takes place, some of the best people on earth will leave Medina to go to Sham. So there's going to be civil war, and the Muslims realize we need to fight against Dajjal. So Medina will be emptied and emptied and emptied. And so this also makes sense. وَخُرُوجُ الْمَلْحَمَةِ فَتْحُ الْقَسْطَنطِينِيَّةِ. The beginning of the Armageddon is the conquest of Constantinople. This means that, and this is my interpretation from 2 weeks ago and last week, the Armageddon, the Malhama, isn't just one war. It is a series of wars. Because the conquest of Constantinople is one of the wars of the Malhama. It's taking place within the Armageddon. So the Armageddon or the Malhama isn't just one battle. Yes, there will be the final battle, no doubt, between Isa and Dajjal. That is the end of the Armageddon. There will be 1 or 2 very big battles. Like the Prophet said, out of 199 will die. That is one of those battles. The Euphrates River will uncover its gold. That is another battle. All of these are some of the bigger battles. But in my interpretation of the hadith, and this is my ijtihad and I could be wrong, it doesn't appear that the Malhama is one battle. And this hadith proves it. Because there will be battles after Constantinople, and yet the Prophet ﷺ is saying, خُرُوجُ الْمَلْحَمَةِ فَتْحُ الْقَسْطِنْطِينِيَّةِ. The beginnings of the Malhama is the conquest, will signal the conquest of Constantinople, and then the conquest of Constantinople, وَفَتْحُ الْقَسْطِنْطِينِيَّةِ خُرُوجُ الدَّجَّالِ, will signal the coming of the Dajjal. So Dajjal will come, then Isa will come, then Isa will kill Dajjal. As soon as Isa kills Dajjal, barely has the day gone, maybe even the same day, or they haven't even rested fully. That's what the hadith is. They have not even recovered. So we can say 3 days, 7 days, but definitely not a few months. Without even recovery, immediately Ya'juj and Ma'juj will be sent out. And that is when Allah will inspire Isa, that a group of creation, عِبَادًا لِي, and this is a very key phrase here, one of my creations have come out. Some of my creation. What are they? As we said, we don't know. There is no human power that can fight them. This is what the hadith says. Don't even think about fighting them. And as I said, this is very interesting because even for Dajjal, Muslims are fighting his army. If people can fight the army of Dajjal, why can't they fight Ya'juj and Ma'juj? I talked about that last week. So, Isa is told, go and flee with my followers, go with the righteous people and hide. And so they will hide for how long we do not know. Until finally they're about to starve to death. And so Isa begs Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for help. And that is when Allah miraculously deals with Ya'juj and Ma'juj. Firstly, by eliminating all of them instantaneously. One thing comes, whatever happens, something attacks them at the neck, and instantaneously, simultaneously, all of them are killed. Secondly, the Muslims come out, the stench is overwhelming, etc., etc. They make dua to Allah, so then Allah gets rid of their corpses as well. And so the earth is cleansed by a rain, by the birds, etc., etc. Now,